Number 3 is done in an identical way. The only difference is that instead of giving you percentages, they are giving you data. So what do we have? We have apparently a 5-gram sample of the copper sulfate hydrate. All right, let's go ahead and write that data down. I've got 5.00 grams of copper sulfate, and this is an unknown hydrate that is there. Okay, now apparently what happens is I heat it, and by heating it, I am driving off 1.805 grams of water. All right, so I am going to lose then 1.805 grams of my water, which is then going to leave, if I subtract those two numbers, 3.195 grams of just CuSO4 as the anhydrous. And this up here is obviously your hydrate. So this is your hydrate, but we don't know what the X is. And now this down here is your anhydrous, the copper sulfate without the water, and this is the water. And again, if you were to take these two numbers and add them up, you would get your 5. That is the total that is there. Now, we're not interested in a percentage this time. We're interested, again, in figuring out what that X is. But it's easy because now I have how much water is there, and I have how much anhydrous copper sulfate is there. So all I have to do is turn each of these guys into their moles. So for my water, I have 1.805 grams of water, and water weighs 18 grams. So after all the math on that, I end up with 0.100 moles of water. And now I have 3.195 grams of copper sulfate, and all I got to do is figure out how much that weighs. So that's what my periodic table is for. Come back up to my periodic table. I have 1 copper, I have 1 sulfur, and I have 4 oxygens in copper sulfate, CuSO4. So this is a 1, a 1, and a 4 that's there. And assuming I have done my math right on things, I've got a formula for it being about 159.6, depending on where you round and so forth. I usually try to round to that first decimal place. I'm not always good at that. And if you do the math on that, you end up with this being 0.0200 moles of CuSO4. So now what you have is you have CuSO4, and then you have H2O, and the CuSO4 is 0.02 moles, and the water is 0.1 moles. And so when you get to this point here, all you have to do again is divide by the smaller of the two numbers, which is my 0.02 and 0.02. And then once I do that, you should end up with a 5-to-1 ratio. And so your formula is going to be CuSO4.5H2O. So it's copper 2 sulfate pentahydrate. There are 5 waters that are there.